and sellers agents. What you need to learn to do is how to sell, 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 period. Let me explain why I'm making this statement. I'm in about 5 or 6, maybe 7 real estate groups on Facebook, right? And I read a lot of comments because I like to learn, I like to know what's going on with agents to see if I can provide some solutions and help agents. And I see the comments and I read them. And it blows my mind how they are focusing on the wrong things and asking the wrong questions. They focus too much, in my opinion, on the problem and not the solutions. They're not asking the right questions to help them not only increase their value, but get more contracts. So I'm going to share with you what I believe, training agents myself and speaking with a lot of for sale by owners and buyers every single day. The focus is absolutely different than a lot of agents. Now, I'm going to talk about the NAR ruling and how that's affecting agents in the industry as a whole and as individuals. But the bottom line is this. It comes down to how to sell, 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 sell. Does that make sense? Now, one of the things I've learned is this. Before I dig into the topic, I want to give you some analysis on why I believe these things that I'm going to talk about need to be addressed. Number one is this. When I read the comments, right? And some of the comments are, why does a seller's agent get more than the buyer's agent, right? And I also look at, why does the buyer now have to get a broker's agreement and then their commission, right? That's the major things, right? But what happens is this, and a lot of it is not the agent's fault in a way, because a lot of agents, in my opinion, in my experience, are not being taught how to sell. Because at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, it's all about producing sales, right? Or getting contract to eventually get the deal in escrow and fund and get commissions, right? But you have to know how to sell. And what you need to understand as agents, and you may not like this, is that do you really understand what you do? Now, I'm speaking to those agents that are struggling, that are not producing contracts, whether it's a listing or buyers now, right? I'm speaking to you. The major problem you have is twofold. You're not being taught right, and all you're being taught, in my opinion, is contracts and legal work and things like that, which is important. Because as an agent, you're more like an attorney by default, because you got to learn the contract not to get sued. You got to learn certain laws and things like that. That's what the test is really all about, right? But at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, you have to know how to sell. And you have to be a salesperson before you transition to being the agent. That's just a fact. And the sooner you accept that, and the sooner you start to do that, don't be surprised if you get more contracts and more sales. Do not. Here's another thing that I read in the comment. I haven't sold any deals this year. I'm broke. I pay X amount of dollars for Zillow leads or realtor leads or whatever, right? What's a side hustle? Either somebody's just saying that to get traction and get comments and troll, or they really are serious about it. But either way, if you're doing a side hustle to pay your bills, then you're not doing your job as a real estate agent. You're not doing your job as a salesperson, and you deserve to starve. Just the bottom line. Now, if you want to be a successful real estate agent, or let me rephrase that, if you want to be a successful salesperson that transitions into a successful real estate agent, you need to learn how to sell. And the analogy is very simple. Let's say you want to build a custom home, right? The first thing you have to do is what? You have to find the land and the area you want to build that home, that custom home, right? You have to make sure that the property is not encumbered, and you guys know what that means, that there's no liens on it, right? Once you have that and you purchase it, now you have a blueprint of the property that you want to be built, right? Okay, great. What's the first thing you do? You hire a general contractor and they start to break ground, right? Then they put in the pipes, right? Once they put in the pipe, they cement it. Then they frame it. Then they put the roof and the windows and the doors, right? They had to put the house on that foundation in order for the house to do what? To withstand bad weather, right? Tornadoes, hurricanes, snowstorms, rainstorms, floods, right? So you gotta have a strong foundation. So here's my question to you buyers agents specifically. How is your foundation as a salesperson? You may have a strong foundation technically as an agent, meaning you understand contract, you know what to do in that part, asking, square footage and things like that. But is that really selling? And in my previous video, I talked about 3 things you need to do to sell a buyer. You need to have a script, you need to have a story, and you need to understand rebuttals. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into this today, right? So with this NAR rulings, especially for buyer's agent, for seller's agent, there's typically about 6 to 7 objections, typically. In the buyer's side, there's 1 or 2 objections. And they are, why do I need a contract and why do I need to pay your commission? Typically, that's what it is, right? Because of the NAR ruling. What you need to do is you absolutely have to look at this NAR ruling as a selling opportunity. How? Number 1, you have to look at, okay, this is what it is. Now, once you understand it, how do I use that result or that ruling to increase my value as an agent? Number 1. Number 2 is, how do I take that value and turn it into a selling opportunity that allows the buyer to see my value so that they can be comfortable not only giving me a contract, but giving you a commission? The second thing that this NAR ruling did, in my personal opinion, it basically exposed the weak agents in the industry, basically the buyer's agents. Why do I say that? Because they got too comfortable getting paid by the seller's agent. So they had a path of least resistance, I call a crutch. Now, the game is on the line. Now they have to do something they're not used to doing, selling and getting a contract and getting their own commission, right? So that's a challenge. So what's happening is there's now more listings, but less buyer's agents, right? So the weak agents that don't make changes or don't adjust to the change in the industry are just going to quit or get fired. And a very small percent, in my opinion, speaking with, are willing to make that change because they love real estate. So if you're doing a side hustle to pay bills, you need to ask yourself, what the hell am I doing? Are you a real estate agent? Are you a successful salesperson? Or are you just going through the motions? Because top successful people don't worry about any of that. They look at everything from an opportunistic way, meaning this. As a top salesperson in any industry that I go in, I always look at whatever problems may come up, whatever adverse situation comes up, whatever it is, I always look at it. Okay, is there value in that? If so, how do I take that value out and show it? Then how do I sell that value? How do I turn it into an opportunity for my clients or my potential client, or the prospect, or the seller, or the buyer? That's the way you have to look at it. Because at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, it's all about, can you sell? Do you know how to sell? And those top agents that are successful, that have a brand name, that are getting deals every day, they work really hard to get to that point. And if you learn how to sell now and you're early in your career, you can have the same amount of success as it took somebody 20, 25 years, and you could do it in less than 5 years. If you learn how to sell and be a salesperson. That's the fact. Because the bloodline to all business, whether it's real estate or any other industry, is sales, right? So if you're not listing properties and you're not getting buyers to buy properties, then you're not doing your job. It's that simple. You don't know how to sell. But the good part is that there's something you can do about it if this is what you really want to do. Does that make sense? So to me personally, the NAR ruling is not a big deal. To me, it's an opportunity to be more valuable, to be more successful, to increase my value to my buyer and the seller. I just have to know how to turn that into an opportunity. And it really is not that difficult. It really is not that complicated. Top salespeople always look at, when they have that NAR ruling, let's just call it, right? They look at it, how do I take that information and turn it into a story within my selling process, within my selling presentation? That's how I look at it. And final thing before we dig into the topic, the seller or the buyer is going to react to the new changes in the industry based on how you react to it and how you talk about it, if you even do. Because the good agents and the successful salespeople, they don't make it a big deal. If it doesn't affect the selling process and it adds no value, then they don't focus too much on that. They just address it when they have to and they move on. And that's what you have to do. So what I'm going to share with you is how to sell to a buyer. And there's 3 steps to selling a buyer and a seller. But in this case, is how to sell to a buyer. If you found some value in this video so far, do me a favor, smash the like button, share your comments, let me know if you agree or disagree with my statements. And if you want to have access to more selling videos, just click on the link below. It'll lead you to my YouTube channel, Mindset and Attitude to Selling. Watch some of the videos, give me some feedback, subscribe is for free, and just comment on it. All right, now let's dig into this. Okay, so how to sell to a buyer. Now keep this in mind. There's 2 major objections that I believe, and when I speak to buyers, that come up because of the NAR. As a matter of fact, they don't even bring it up. I bring it up. Why? Because I get it out of the way. So here's what happens. You need 3 steps, or you need to do 3 things really, really, really good in order to get the buyer to not only give you a contract, but give you a valuable commission that you believe you deserve based on your value before you go show the properties. Now, there's a different strategy when you are talking with a buyer that's actually an investor, might be looking at, let's say, multifamily deals. There's a way to sell that value and using the strategy to get a contract. And then if it's an individual that just wants it for a personal, that's a little more personal, that's a little more warm and fuzzy, that you have to be very strategic on that one, but you have to be very honest and sincere about it because they have to have a good experience, bottom line, right? So the 3 things you need to do is, 1, you need to have a story. What is that story that you are going to offer this buyer? Think about it. Or have you even thought about it? And these 3 steps that you need to do, I call it the OBC, the opening the body and the close of the climax. It's what movie producers do. It's the same process. So you need to have a story. What is your story? So let me give you an example. The story comes along with rebuttals as almost simultaneously. But there's 2 parts to the story you need to tell. The first one, the story is about you, your skill, your value, your experience as a real estate agent and as a salesperson. They need to know that. Why? Because they're only going to judge you based upon what they know about you at that moment because they never met you, right? So you have to give them value so that not only they're comfortable now, but they can trust that you can do the job. Whereas prior to the NAR ruling, that wasn't the case, right? You would just get a contract. They got no downside. They got no skin in the game. There's no emotions attached to it. And for you, the agent, you get paid from the seller's commission, right? How fair is that? Just think about it. I always thought that was unfair. Now you got to step up. So what is the story, right? So here's the objection from a buyer. So if a buyer tells you, why do I need to sign a contract and pay your commission before I look at properties? Listen, I understand how you feel. I felt the same way before this ruling came out. You know what I found out? That it's not a big deal. It's part of the process. Does that make sense? And so what you go and you do is this. You say, listen, Mr. Buyer, let me explain to you why buyers hire me and why sellers hire me. I eat, I breathe, I live this business. But what I focus on, my main focus is providing solutions like buying you the right house at the right time in the right location for the right price that you're looking for. And building long-term profitable relationships. Hopefully, I do a great job for you that you refer other people to me. Second thing is this. The most valuable commodity we have is time. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste my time. Because we can't buy back this time, right? And I have one shot to earning your business and your relationship. You only have one shot to hire a real estate agent that works really, really hard and eats and breathes and lives this business and my buying strategy to get you the house that you want. Isn't that what you want? Yes, boom. What's the second part of that story? Mr. Buyer, I've been involved, let's just use an example. I've been involved in real estate for 10 years. I've been involved in over 200 successful real estate transactions. They all weren't easy. Some of them were sellers and they were happy because they made money. Majority of them were buyers and they were happy because they had a good experience and they bought the right property at the right time for the right price. And I got paid because I provided value and I executed my buying strategy or my selling strategy to get the buyer or the seller what they want. And I could do the same for you. Isn't that what you want? Boom. That's how you answer that. You have to share your experience as an agent or as a salesperson agent. Share your experience with them. Now, you might be thinking, well, I didn't sell a lot of houses. Well, how do you know that? Maybe in the industry, it's nothing. Maybe in the industry, it's a speck of dust. But when it has to do with one buyer, one individual, that may be what they need to hear. That may be the deciding factor. Have you ever considered that? Let's say you've been in real estate 10 years and you sold over, and you've been involved in 100 successful transactions. You ever thought maybe that could make a difference? Because for one person, that may be a whole lot of deals for them because they're not focusing on the industry. They're focusing on you. That is your story. That is your value. You have to know how to tell that story. So what I just did is 2 of the 3 steps you need to do came at the same time. Meaning, number 1 is you need to overcome objections with rebuttals. So I gave you 2 rebuttals. And the second part of that rebuttal was a story about you, the buyer agent. Does that make sense? The third step that you need to know how to sell to buyers is a script. Now, you're probably wondering, why do I need a script? Well, if you never sold before, obviously you haven't, because some of you are looking for side hustles. Some of you can't even get a contract unless the seller gets your commission. But if you want to make the changes, you got to adjust to the environment. And let me give you an example why a script is important. A script is like a path, right? It's like a map. It's like a track. It's a vehicle to get you to the destination. What is that destination? The contract, the commission, right? If you've never told a story before, and now you have to learn how to tell a story, the script allows you to stay focused on that script. And when you have a script, it'll help you to handle rebuttals or objections better with your weapons. So rebuttals are your weapons. Your story is your value. The rebuttals are your weapons. And the script is your vehicle to the destination. Just think about it. So if you don't have a script in the beginning, your story is not going to be as powerful or as effective. Because a rebuttal does 3 things. It increases your value because how you handle the objection, right? Number 2, it diffuses the objection. And number 3, it tells a story right away. The script allows you to do that. When I teach salespeople in other industries, or I'm selling it myself, and I've never sold it, I put a script together that allows me to learn about that industry and how to put my presentation together. So what I have to learn is what? I have to learn what the main objections are. Okay, great. I have to learn how to take that information and turn it into value, into story, and tell them my story within that industry. But I have to have a script to lead me to that. Once I do it enough times and you do it enough times, it becomes part of you. You are the script. You are the story. You are the weapon. You are the rebuttal. That's what it is. But as agents, you're not an agent until you get a contract. Now you become an agent because now you're representing someone that has a legal binding contract, right? There's ramifications if anybody breaks their contract or does something unethical, right? But in the beginning, there's no money involved. So imagine you had to get money up front before you can show a property. You can't get a contract. How are you going to get money? So this is how you sell a buyer. There's more to it than that, but I just want to give you a simple version of that. Does that make sense? So what you have to understand, you know that the buyer is going to bring up that issue with the NAR ruling, right? Why don't you bring it up and make it a non-issue? If you bring it up, it becomes irrelevant to him. Meaning it's not a big deal. He'll go with it. And keep this in mind. People like to hear stories. If you tell them your story about your experience, not braggadocious, but with conviction, with passion, with energy, enthusiasm, nothing wrong with that. You have to believe in what you do because they have to believe in what you're doing, right? They have to have confidence in you because now there's something on the line for them. Not only a contract before they look at the property, right? But they have to pay a commission now, where before that they didn't have to do that, right? So keep this in mind, guys. You have to learn how to sell. You have to accept. And it's for your own good, not for me. I'm already doing it. I could do buy and seller. It doesn't matter to me. I talk to both. For commercial, there's a different strategy, which I'm going to do a video on. For individual, there's a different strategy, which I'll do a video for that. But I wanted to just give you a template, an idea to get your mind to think about what it is you really do. And do you still want to do it? So finally is this. This is how I see things. And this is just Paul Cruz. And this is how I teach my students and my clients and my salespeople. Is this. Shit is gonna happen. And what happens is most people, especially in real estate and agents, when I read these comments, I could tell the mentality people have. And they're weak. They always make excuses. They always justify bullshit. Excuse my friend. They always want to blame something or someone else. That's weak, man. What I always do is I look at it, what does this mean? Does it have any potential value? If so, do I know how to use this to show that value? Does it increase my value as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur? Do my clients really need this, or is it important in the selling process? Do they really need to know about this? In a buyer's agent's perspective, they do need to know. Right? So I always ask, okay, now if I accept that, then I say, okay, now how do I tell it in the story? How do I show it where it's valuable to them that they need to know this? In this case, it's just a contract and a commission. You have to show your value now. Whereas before, you got paid from the seller's agent, right? But they did all the work. Now the question is, which is more valuable? Is it the buyer with the money or the seller with the property? It all depends on what side of the fence you're on. For me, as long as I got the deal, I'm the value, I'm the commodity, I'm going to make the deal happen because I'm going to solve both problems. Because what I do is I solve sales problems, period. That's what I do. Whether it's from the buyer side or the seller side, I solve problems. And that's how you have to see it. You have to see it. I solve sales problems, whether you're representing a seller or a buyer. Can you do that? So that's how I look at the NAR rulings. And the successful real estate agent capitalize on that. Does that make sense? So again, how to sell to a buyer. You must tell your story. Period. You must and have to learn your rebuttals. You have to do that because it's within the storytelling. And you need a script to lead you to an effective and powerful story to help you deal with your weapons, i.e., the rebuttals, to get to the destination, which is what? The contract and your commission. If you can do this, I promise you, it will change your game because no one is teaching this. And I believe you agents need to learn how to sell because that's what you are, a salesperson. That's what I am. Not ashamed to say. Does that make sense? Anyway, guys, I hope this video was of value to you. If you found some value in this video, do me a favor, smash the like button, whatever platform you're at. Share your comments. If you're in my YouTube channel watching this video, do me a favor, smash the like button, hit the subscription button below. And if you're in another platform, just click the link below. It'll lead you to my YouTube channel. Subscribe. Watch some of the videos on mindset and attitude to selling. Give me some feedback, and it'll help you out. Anyway, I want to thank you for being part of mindset and attitude to selling. Remember this, guys. If you master these 3 steps and you learn how to sell, you tell your story with passion and conviction and excitement and enthusiasm. If you learn how to master your rebuttals, your weapons, if you put together a powerful script that leads the path to telling your powerful story, not only does your value increase, but don't be surprised if you get more contracts. And if you get more contracts consistently, watch your commissions explode. Talk to you later. Have a great day.